So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are gathered here today because we are fighting to save the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary and to make sure that this building is landmarked and that it stays here forever.
Yeah.
Woo! My name is Andrew Berman. I'm the Executive Director of Village Preservation, and we are joined today by the Center for the Independence of Disabled New York, 504 Democratic Club, Save New York Eye and Ear Infirmary, City Council Member Chris Marte, the Historic Districts Council, the East Village Community Coalition, the Lower East Side Preservation Initiative, and I think we're going to have a few more people joining us even as we go ahead. So this is a really great group that's gathered here today. I'm going to make a few introductory remarks and then we're going to hear from our speakers. So I want to start by saying that among the nearly 40,000 landmark buildings in New York City, none, that's 0%, specifically honor disabled history and the disabled community, even though an estimated 27% of U.S. adults have a disability. We are here to say that must change.
Yeah.
And now is the time, and this is the place to do it. The city's Landmarks Preservation Commission claims that they operate under something they call an equity framework to ensure a diversity of places in New York City that are landmarked. But time and again, we see sites like this representing vulnerable, overlooked, and underrepresented histories ignored or slow-walked for designation. It's time for that to change.
Yeah.
The New York Eye and Ear Infirmary is the oldest specialized hospital in the Western Hemisphere and the second oldest hospital in New York City. It's been a linchpin of services and care for people with hearing and visual disabilities for more than 2 centuries. Its main historic building, right next to us here, which we're seeking to get landmarked, was built in stages between 1856 and 1903. No less historically significant and inspiring a figure than Helen Keller cut the ribbon at its opening. New York Eye and Ear Infirmary played an incredibly important role in African American history as well, allowing the first black eye doctor in the United States and the first enslaved person to earn a college degree to practice here, which reflected its long-standing commitment to equality and service for all. Yeah. But its future is in doubt due to ongoing proposals for reorganization, mergers, and closures by Mount Sinai, which now controls it. Preservationists, disabled groups, elected officials, doctors, staff, patients, and alumni of New York Eye and Ear Infirmary started a campaign to landmark this building in 2022 in response to these threats. We want to ensure that its history is not destroyed, and we're working together as part of a broader campaign to help protect and preserve the hospital and its services. For over 200 years, the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary has been a beacon of hope and healing. It's not just a building, it's an irreplaceable piece of our history that deserves recognition, and it's a history we want future generations to be able to appreciate, understand, and benefit from. This place is an integral and vital part of our city's identity. It's the best of what New York is about, and it's what it should aspire to be. The New York Eye and Ear Infirmary is a symbol of equality and progress, supporting people with disabilities, offering help to the infirmed and the needy. So to Mayor Adams and the Landmarks Preservation Commission, we have a simple message that we want you to hear loud and clear. Landmark the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary now.
Yeah.
No more delays, no more equivocating. Disabled history matters. Black history matters. Our history matters. Thank you very much. I'm now going to ask City Council Member Christopher Marte to come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone feeling this morning? It's kind of chilly, but we're going to bring the heat, okay? First of all, I don't represent this area, but I do want to thank Carlina Rivera, who's the council member, for writing a really strong letter to Eric Adams and to the Landmark Preservation to save and preserve New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. So let's give her a round of applause. I want to thank the advocates who have been organizing and fighting not only to preserve this location, but to preserve civil rights landmarks and disability landmarks all throughout our city. So let's give it up to 504 Dems, Village Preservation, the Historic District Council, and everyone else that's here. If you were born and raised or moved to New York City in the past few decades, you have been a patient in here. I remember as a kid, I was sent here to potentially get glasses, and this changed my life. This gave me the service as a low-income New Yorker that I couldn't get anywhere else.
I'm a patient now.
She's a patient now. And so we know how important the services are at this location, but we also know the threat. We know that Mount Sinai for years have promised us more services, to engage with us more. But the only service that they're providing is to their bottom line by trying to stop this landmark and sell these important services from our communities to potential developers who we know will demolish this and build a luxury high-rise. We've seen this trick before. And so I want to thank the community for constantly fighting, because if we don't do it, we know this administration is not going to stand up for us. And we're demanding action, not in a year from now, not 2 years from now, but today. Because if we don't get this now, and if we don't expedite this review and this landmark designation, we know it's going to go to the highest bidder. And so for every New Yorker, people who live in public housing just a few blocks away, people who live in rent-stabilized apartments in these tenement buildings, for people who live all the way down to Battery Park City or to the Upper East Side who come here regularly, we're fighting for them. We're fighting for future New Yorkers to have this service. As we mentioned earlier, this has been a civil rights location, and having the first African-American doctor become a doctor. Helen Keller was here, world-renowned advocate for disability rights. And so we are doing our part in this movement to make sure that this service continues for every single New Yorker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. We know we can always count on you, and we really, really appreciate it. Our next speaker is Sharon McLennon Wier from the Center for Independence of the Disabled in New York. And Sharon, I'm going to bring you right over.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You're
All right.
right there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Wier from Sydney. I'm here to talk about disability rights. I am a totally blind Black person, so I feel the history here, I need to speak about it. Helen Keller and all the many, many Black people that came to this hospital to do treatment and also to receive treatment. It's important for you to understand that sensory disability is life-changing. Becoming blind, losing your hearing, can be devastating for people if they don't have the right services, if they don't have the kind hand, if they don't have a doctor or nurse that will say it's going to be okay. That's what this hospital represents. It represents treatment, it represents kindness, it represents an opportunity that you could still live your life regardless of what your disability is. I can tell you, the Center for Independence of the Disabled, that's what we do, that's what we believe, and it's important to continue to have these type of services throughout the city. For the last 3.5 years, we've been fighting to keep this hospital open. We've been fighting to keep Beth Israel open. It's imperative that people of color, that seniors, that people with all different types of disabilities have a place to go. This is not just a New York City issue. This is a Brooklyn, a Bronx, a Queens, a Staten Island, and what borough did I forget? Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly.
A Manhattan issue, okay? People all over the metropolitan area comes here. It's not just a New York City. It could be New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island. This is a premier sensory hospital, and it's important for you to understand that we must preserve it as a landmark. Why? Because Mount Sinai just cares about dollars and cents. This is a real estate takeaway. It's not about helping the population, but as a disability rights black blind person, I'm here to tell you, we need to keep fighting. We need to do it today, tomorrow, and keep going until we preserve this place as a historic site. We're standing next to sacred grounds, Helen Keller. We cannot let this hospital close. Thank you so much, and keep fighting.
Yeah. Woo! Thank you so much, Sharon, for your words and your leadership and your inspiration. We are next going to hear from Mike Schweinsburg from the 504 Democratic Club.
Yeah, Mike.
Thank you kindly. The 504 Democratic Club is one of only 3 citywide clubs, and at 40 years old, the nation's first and largest advocating for the civil rights of people with disabilities. So, when we heard from Dr. Lee that this institution was in trouble, we jumped in immediately and have been pleased to be full partners ever since. This structure, a part of which, as was been noted, dedicated by the great Helen Keller, stands not only as a monument of great architecture, but also as a testament to the dedication of so many doctors, nurses, medical students, and staff who through the last 2 centuries built on the foundation of creating a world-renowned, unique, and comprehensive one-stop center to treat people with sensory disabilities. And let me emphasize that point. There is nowhere else in the tri-state region where you have the concentration of services that treat people with vision loss, hearing loss, through every stage. Look, this area is home to a 44% higher population of seniors with disabilities than anywhere else in New York City. And we know that as you age, your hearing, your vision begins to diminish and continues. This wonderful institution in the same building can offer all the services necessary to see you through that diminishment of your senses. So, without it, the dangers are that people who are blind, people who are deaf, would have to go all over Manhattan to get the same services that they receive in one place. Now, I'm going to tell a story, with your permission, Dr. Sharon, that I like to tell, because when she told it to me, I was shocked, but it drives home the point. As she noted, she's totally blind. She has been struck in intersections 3 times, even when she had the right of way. So we cannot ask people with sensory disabilities to run all over town to get the same services they can in one place. To demolish or alter this edifice would not only do great harm to the streetscape of New York City, but would also deliver a great blow to the many, many thousands of patients who have and will rely on the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary to mitigate vision and hearing loss so successfully. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much, Mike. I want to note that State Senator Kristen Gonzalez has joined us, and we'll actually ask you to speak in just one moment. I'm going to ask Dr. Paul Lee from Save New York Eye and Ear Infirmary to come up and say a few words.
Thanks so much. Since its founding over 200 years ago, New York Eye and Ear Infirmary has been a beacon of light for millions of people all over the world. Many immigrants would send their relatives here from far away to seek care here. Rich or poor, blind or deaf, no one would be turned away from these doors. Thousands of doctors have trained at the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. Many of the country's best surgeons have spent time in the clinics, in the operating room, in the conference room, so they could hone their craft to perfection here. Healthcare in the United States is undergoing tremendous changes. Hospitals are merging and hospitals are closing. The future of New York Eye and Ear is uncertain. We may not be able to practice in this location much longer. Landmarking this building will preserve the physical legacy of all the amazing work which has been done here. Patients will not forget, doctors will not forget, staff will not forget. We urge the LPC to proceed with landmarking this historic building. By doing so, you will recognize the many people who have been blessed by this wonderful institution. I will close by sharing the words of Helen Keller, the foremost disability rights advocate of the 19th century. On May 11, 1903, Helen Keller stood steps from where we are today and shared these words. In spite of the hard words that are spoken against this great city, I find here a wide human sympathy. Surely there would be no need for eloquent appeals in behalf of the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary if you could look into the darkness which the blind see and listen to the stillness which the deaf hear. All that we have, all that we know, all that we have discovered, we must bestow, at least in part, for the universal good. This institution has become your sacred burden. Look on it, lift it, bear it proudly. Thank you.
Those words are just as true 120 years later as they were in 1903, which is when, by the way, the newest portion of this building was built, which, as we said before, dates to the 1850s. So I'm going to now ask our friend, State Senator Kristen Gonzalez, to come up here and say a few words.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone feeling? Good? Bundled up? Okay. It's so good to be here. My name is Kristen Gonzalez. I'm the state senator for Senate District 59 in Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. And if there's one thing that I've learned about this incredible city, having been born and raised here, is that we are the people who make New York. We are the ones, our history is what makes this city incredibly vibrant and beautiful. Not real estate deals, not, just unilaterally a single decision maker or a hospital network that may want to have certain plans for certain buildings. We are the ones that really make this city. And so in standing here today, urging the LPC to make this a landmark, it is really, to me, an issue of honoring our incredible legacy of organizing an activism around especially our disabled community here, our differently abled community, but also to set a tone that we're going to protect this space for the people who are here today in this community, all of you who are showing up in the cold because you care about this space and you care about what it represents to so many in our community, but also for all of the generations of New Yorkers that will come after us. And so I want to say thank you to, of course, our incredible elected Councilmember Rivera, I see Councilmember Marte here, but the coalition that has come together to really advocate and tell New York that this is an issue that matters to all of us, not just one specific community. And I certainly want to thank, just of course, again, all of you for showing up to defend this space and ask that we make this a landmark so we don't have to continue fighting for things that are truly a part of our community and that we deserve. So thank you all so much. And I'm really proud to be here to continue fighting for this space, for more healthcare access, for more landmarks, but really to give us all the communities that we deserve. So thank you.
Thank you so much, State Senator Gonzalez. It's always such a joy and a pleasure when we can work so closely with our elected officials and who are partners in these efforts, which is really great. I'm now going to ask Frampton Tolbert from the Historic Districts Council, which is one of the other groups who've been working with us to try to get this building landmark, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Frampton Tolbert, the Executive Director of the Historic Districts Council. We are the citywide advocate for New York's historic neighborhoods, and we work with more than 500 community organizations to preserve the places that matter to them. And we're really pleased to be supporting Village Preservation and this entire coalition in their request for landmark designation of the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. This site is incredibly important to New York's history and deserves to be preserved for future generations. Among the reasons we are calling on the New York City LPC to act are the significant association here with disabled history. This fits within the LPC's own equity framework, which works to ensure diversity and inclusion in designations. and to make sure that the LPC is telling the stories of all New Yorkers. However, we have lost or are at risk of losing several sites of incredible significance like this over the past few years due to the inaction of the LPC. We need better parameters on how the LPC makes decisions based on its equity framework so there's public accountability. Furthermore, as Village Preservation's recent report, to which HCC contributed, makes so clear, designations are at their lowest point since the Beam administration more than 30 years ago. We are losing our historic places at a rapid pace to speculation and demolition. We call on the LPC to act now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frampton. And next I'm going to ask Laura Sewell from the East Village Community Coalition to come up and say a few words.
Hey, everybody. So when I put this out on social media, the biggest comment I got was, wait, that's not landmarked? People are surprised. I'm not surprised. When you look at the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, and even to the west, you see a lot of landmark designations. Our neighborhood is undervalued. It's underdesignated. The contrast is shocking. Our history of public service and mutual aid are unrecognized, and our landmarks and our buildings go unrecognized. The contributions that this community and this building has made over the years are global. The beginning of ophthalmology as we know it in the U.S. It's really just beyond me, even though I understand why, that this beautiful building that Village Preservation managed to find a small piece of that isn't under scaffolding for us to stand next to today is not landmarked. That needs to change. Our neighborhood needs to be valued. Our neighborhood needs to be designated. Our services need to be continued. Let's go, LPC!
Thank you so much, Laura, for those inspiring words. We're now also going to hear from Deborah Y. from the Lower East Side Preservation Initiative. Whoops. Deborah, please join us.
I'm Deborah Y., Vice President of the Lower East Side Preservation Initiative, known as LESPE. We focus on the built environment of this neighborhood and its remarkable place in the history of New York. Over the years, we have seen historic buildings lost or threatened as real estate interests encroach upon our heritage. Now we are in danger of losing the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. This building is an irreplaceable anchor here on 2nd Avenue and 13th Street for those who take advantage of its important services and also for those who simply walk by. It is notable for its monumental presence, which evokes a sense of strength, dignity, and history. It is also renowned for its healthcare treatments, which have played a highly significant role in the advancement of specialized ophthalmology. This building serves to link our present lives to a past that stretches back over 150 years, when the first parts of this structure went up. Throughout that period, waves of immigrants came to settle here. Eventually, what was called the Old East Side became the East Village we know today. This is a unique area of New York, and its rich history is reflected in buildings such as this. We must ensure that the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary remains here. Landmarking is one tool for protecting the building for future generations, and it can also be part of a campaign to maintain hospital services. We urge the city to designate this important building. You can help do that by writing or emailing the Landmarks Commission to let them know that immediate designation is imperative before the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary is lost. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have one more very special speaker with us here today. We are very honored to be joined by the public advocate, Jumaane Williams.
Peace and blessing. Love and light, everybody. How are you?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for getting us together here, and learning about the history of this building behind me. it's hard to explain why we even have to be here to fight to landmark this. And, you know, personally, as a person with Tourette syndrome, to learn that there are no landmarks for the disabled community, right off the bat, we should be trying to figure out how we can change it, how we can stop that. And here we have a great example of a building that's provided services to that community for a very long time. And then to learn the history that it has for those who are black and African American. The first, from my understanding, enslaved African got a college degree here. We had the first eye doctor who was black. This is a great history. Did Helen Keller cut the ribbon here? That's pretty dope. That's amazing stuff we have here. Why would we not want to save this building just on the merits alone of the historical references that I've said and what it's meant to this community, to this city, and really to this state? There's national implications of what's been provided here as a service. And then on top of that, you get to keep a service that the community needs and has to have that otherwise might not be able to get it. How often do all these things intersect at one time? This is a thing that seems to be a no-brainer. Everybody's in agreement. Just get it done. And I understand there's a lot of ideas that folks have with this, but this is a treasure here in New York City. And, you know, I've had some issues with the landmarks before, so I'm going to be real honest about that. But there are times when we're spot on about why they were created in the first place, and it is to preserve the history that is signified by this building behind me. So let's just get it done. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings. Love and light to you all.
Let's get it done. 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 Yeah. Well, I want to thank all of the speakers and co-sponsors today, the Public Advocate, State Senator Gonzalez, Chris Marte, Center for the Independence of Disabled in New York, Save New York Eye and Ear Infirmary, 504 Democratic Club. They're not here today, but the Preservation League of New York State, the Historic Districts Council, East Village Community Coalition, Lower East Side Preservation Initiative, as well as City Council Member Carlina Rivera and Assembly Member Harvey Epstein, who also couldn't be here today, but are supporting our efforts. But everybody, if you have a sign, you've also got your next steps on the back of that sign. Make sure you do it. This battle is not over. We need to keep fighting. We need to let the mayor, the Landmarks Preservation Commission know that we demand that this building be landmarked immediately. And if there's anybody from the press who has any questions, we're happy to take them. But if not, I hope our message has gotten through loud and clear. I guess it has. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.